Do you ever feel like you're training hard in the gym, but you're not getting any stronger, you're not lifting any heavier, and you still don't look like you lift? Like you're putting in a bit of effort, but your body's just not changing. And the frustrating part is, you feel like you're doing everything right. You get in there, you get the sweat on, you get a bit of a pump on, you come out of there feeling big, feeling tight, chest feeling pumped, arms looking swole. You feel like you got a pretty good session. But weeks go by, maybe even months go by, and nothing's actually changing. Well, what if I told you, just getting a pump on is the one thing that's actually holding you back from truly growing the muscle that you want to build? In this video, I'm going to be showing you what you need to be focused on instead and what you can do to fix this. Let's get into it. So a pump is basically just pushing blood to the muscle. You can do this from doing lightweight, loads of reps, supersetting everything without any rest. Yeah, you might feel amazing, but that feeling doesn't necessarily mean you're actually growing any muscle. Let me show you exactly what I mean. This was Lee. When he first came to me, he was in the gym a few times a week, always chasing a sweat, always chasing a pump, walking out of every session feeling like he'd smashed it. But his lifts weren't going up, his body wasn't changing, and he looked exactly the same for months. And now he actually looks like he trains. What did we change? It wasn't the amount we trained, it was just how he was training. And these are the 5 things we did to get there and what you need to start doing so you actually look like you lift with and without a top on. If you actually want to build muscle, you need something called mechanical tension, which basically is your muscles being forced to work under load. This doesn't just mean using any old weight, but actually being challenged and working for it. Which takes me nicely to point number 1, which is training towards failure. Now, I don't mean just pick up any old heavy weight in the gym, chuck it about for 1 or 2 reps, as real hypertrophy can actually occur between 4 or 5 reps, all the way up to 20 reps. So it means you pick a weight, you pick a rep range, and you perform that set towards failure. So you don't just do 10 easy reps, but you pick a weight and you perform that set until you start thinking and feeling like you ain't got much left in the tank. You should be struggling to lift the last few reps because as you get closer to failure, your body is forced to recruit more and more muscle fibers until eventually everything is working, and that's what actually drives growth. Which leads me perfectly to my next point, which is rest times. You need to be resting properly in between your sets. If you're just flying through sessions, 30 seconds rest, jumping straight back on it, supersetting everything, then you're not training strength and hypertrophy properly. And it means you're not going to be performing each set with the real intent and intensity that you need to grow. So when you finish your set, take time to rest. Rest until you feel fully recovered to go and perform that next set with high intensity and towards failure. This could be anywhere between, say, 90 seconds to 3 minutes for an accessory movement like a chest fly, a pec deck, a bicep curl. And for a compound movement like your squats, your deadlifts, your bench presses, you could take anywhere between 2 to 5 minutes. But this depends on the individual. But the main thing is that you are ready to perform that next set. So take your rest time and do them properly. So on to point number 3, which is having a structured training plan. You need to know what you're doing before you've even stepped into the gym. If you're just going in there, winging it, making it up as you go along, jumping on whatever equipment's free, random exercises and random workouts every single week, different weight, different equipment, how do you know you're improving? Basically, you don't. Which follows perfectly onto point number 4. Once you've got your training plan set, you know what you're doing, you need to track your lifts. This is where everyone seems to go wrong. If you've done what you lifted last week, that just means you've got nothing to aim for and no targets to hit. If I'm being honest, I can't really remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, let alone a full session with every weight and every rep that I did last week. So make sure you are tracking everything. What weight you lifted, how many reps you did. So the next session you're going into, you know what you're aiming for, what you're trying to beat, and what you're trying to do. This is exactly what we've done with Charlie. Tracking lifts, pushing sets properly, and sticking with a plan. That's when he started to see real change. Now let's finish this off with point number 5, which is progressive overload. Now this doesn't just mean adding more weight every single session, because if we were doing that after a few years, we'd be lifting Eddie Hall numbers. But what it does mean is doing more over time. Now, to be progressively overloading, you want to be performing that set that you did last week with more control, with better form, and then you can look at increasing a rep, and then eventually more load. I'll give you an example of how progressive overload could look for you. Let's say you are working within the 6 to 10 rep range. Week 1, you bench 80 kg for 6 reps. Week 2, you do the same again, but more controlled with some better form. Week 3, we're able to add another rep, so say 80 kg for 7 reps. Week 4, we do the same again. Now we repeat that 4-week cycle, adding extra reps with better form and more control, all the way up until you're performing 10 reps of 80 kg with control and with perfect form. Now you've got to the end of that rep range, it's probably time to add some more load. So let's say you go up to 85 kg, but your reps are going to go back down to the start of that rep range. So you're going to be performing 85 kg for 6 reps. Obviously it won't look exactly like this, but it's just an idea of how things will go. And listen, doing all those 5 things is still going to give you a really good pump on. It just can't be the only thing you're chasing when you get in there. So remember, train towards failure, rest properly between sets, have a training plan, track all your lifts and progressively overload. That's where you'll start looking like you lift and you'll have all your mates asking what your training plan is. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all of that malarkey. If you've got any questions on anything at all, message me on here or message me on my Instagram at GeorgeOC Fitness. A bosh.